Hello and welcome to Scale Stuff. In this week's video, I'm going to be focusing on a quick and easy method to weather up tanks. Sponge chipping. For this, I'm going to be using this Tamiya King Tiger. I painted this tank a little while ago, but feel it needs something more to finish it off. This is not an ideal painting stage to do this method on, as the kit's pretty much done and any mess ups are going to be horrible to clean up, but it is what it is. As a side note, there will be a full build of this kit at some point on the channel, but for a while, this channel's chronological order is like the plot from Back to the Future. Anyway, onto the method. For this method, you will need a piece of sponge, a wide palette, I'm using a takeaway sauce lid here, and paints. I'll be using browns and blacks for this, along with some paper, preferably white as it lets you know how much is left on the sponge. Sponge wise, I find old jagged pieces of sponge better than uniform ones, as the effect I'm going for will hopefully be a very fine wear along all the edges. I'm going to be mostly using the pointiest edges of this sponge to do this. The method here is really simple, but it pays not to overdo it. Mix up black and brown in I find about a quarter brown to 3 parts black. Then simply dip the sponge into the paint and dab off until there's nearly nothing on it. Then lightly, and I mean lightly, dab it onto the edges and raised parts of the model. Less is more or less, so if in doubt, dab more paint off before applying it to the model. Then it's just a case of thinking where the vehicle will wear. Obviously bits like the main front and sides of the tank will get some scrapes. Most corners will get worn to some degree. Hatches and vents, anything that protrudes from the hull, it's all going to get knocks and scrapes, as well as anywhere that the crew would climb on and off of the tank. When the paint on the sponge is virtually nothing, I like to move the dabs out into the open areas, as bullets, boots and branches will scratch these areas, but not to the same extent as a corner clipping a wall. Sponge chipping is great for doing large areas in a random pattern, but it can't get into hard to reach corners very well or with much control. For anyone trying this at home, it pays to have a fine brush on hand to highlight and add more precise chips and scrapes. Sometimes it's nice to use the brush to tie sponge done chips together. Just try to keep it random and use as little paint as possible. You can always add more, but taking it away is difficult. Anyway, this is the finished chipping on the model. It's not the greatest. I think I overdid it in some places, but I think the overall effect for the hour or so it took to do this has been an hour well spent, and it has given the tank another dimension, making it look like there's some metal underneath the paint job. Off screen I had a bit of a brainwave and also hit the higher corners very lightly with a little bit of skeleton bone, which is an off-white colour, as whenever I crash into something in my car, there's always a trace of what I hit stuck to the bumper, so maybe this tank's bumped into a whitewash wall or a Ford Transit van. Anyway, that's today's quick video tip on sponge chipping. As always, thank you for stopping by. I hope that you found the video helpful and maybe it gives you the confidence to try something new on your models at home. Until next time though, look after yourselves and have a good one. Goodbye.